Welcome back to another deck tech video where I break down a deck and how it works. Today I'll be covering a deck that I've wanted to build for quite a while, but before I do, if you could consider subscribing, it's free and you can always change your mind later. Now let's get into it. Today the deck that I'm going to be talking about is Zabaz the Glimmerwasp. Zabaz is a commander that cares about the modular ability. It says whenever a modular triggered ability will put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature, put an extra one of those counters on it. Zabaz also has two other abilities, one that allows you to destroy target artifact that you control, and another one that allows you to give Zabaz flying. These are really good abilities for this deck, as the one allows you to force modular triggers by killing your artifacts, and the other allows you to make Zabaz hard to block. For this deck, the goal is to play a bunch of cards with the modular ability, and kill them, making a huge creature that's usually going to be Zabaz. That being said, you're going to be playing a lot of cards that are artifacts, because cards with modular are artifacts, and you don't want to just let people exile your artifacts so you lose the counters you've gotten. So we're going to run Bronze Guardian and Leonin Abundus. Both of these cards are going to allow you to protect your board and making it harder for your opponents to stop you. Another cool card for this deck is Canoptech Spider. This allows you to draw a card every time that you play an artifact, and well, you're going to be doing plenty of that in this deck. Now I just want to go over some of the ramp, or well, I guess mana reducers for this deck. We're going to be running Foundry Inspector, which is very simple. It gives you a 1 mana reduction for all of your artifacts. And another mana reducer for this deck is Microsynth Golem. This is an 11 mana golem with affinity for artifacts, and it gives your other artifact creature spells affinity for artifacts as well. This is an amazing card for this deck. This is a pretty aggressive deck, and if you get this card early, it can help you put the game away. And if you get it out later, it can give you a huge advantage in the end game, making most of your creatures cost almost nothing. Next, I want to talk about another way that this deck gets card advantage, and this is using Graveyard Recursion. Some of the more notable cards for this in this deck are Arcbound Reclaimer and Open the Vaults. Arcbound Reclaimer is a card that allows you to use the counters on it to bring stuff back from your graveyard to the top of your library. And this is really good in this deck because it's also repeatable, because you can just continue to add counters using your modular triggers or any other means in the deck necessary. Open the Vaults is more of a push to win the game kind of card because it brings back all artifacts and or enchantments. This is obviously meant to favor you, however you do obviously have to be careful when playing another enchantress or artifact themed deck because it might favor them more than it favors you in that instance. Another just basic value or utility card for this deck is Gandalf the White. It allows you to not only double your Zabaz triggers with one of its abilities, it also allows you to play your artifacts at instant speed. This is just a card that gives you more options, and it really allows you to sit back and react to your opponents instead of trying to be aggressive, or you can just continue to be aggressive and double your triggers. So it's a really, unique card for this deck. Also, I was playtesting this deck against my friends, and not all the cards came in on time, right? So I added a couple placeholder cards, and well, I wanted to mention one, and that was Dowsing Dagger. Dowsing Dagger overperformed this weekend when I played this deck, and it needs to be mentioned. Not only did I pull it late in one game, and it wasn't a feel bad because it still did something, I pulled it early, 2 of the games that I played it, and had it flipped by turn 3. This was a huge advantage for me and allowed me to just put the games away. And so I'm definitely going to be adding it to this deck list. I just felt like that needed to be said. Other than that, I think this deck is pretty easy to understand. You use your modular triggers to move counters to Zabaz and make massive swings. As always, the full deck list will be in the description. If you found this video helpful, consider leaving a like, and for more magic related content and deck techs, subscribe. That's all until we meet again, whether on this plane or another. Have a wonderful day.